We are dynamic beings, which means that we are made to move, and movement is necessary for life. Welcome to your weekly wellness dose, The Wellness Factor. I'm your host, Dr. Noelle, and today we are discussing the power of movement and how it can directly impact how long we live. Now, there have been many studies that have shown that active individuals, quite frankly, live longer. In fact, the centenarians of the world, those who live to 100 years and beyond, are proof of that, as movement and movement every day in some capacity is one of the 4 pillars that they practice as thought to get them to 100 years plus. Any movement is good movement. And even incidental activity counts. So doing chores around the house, gardening, walking further from your car, going up the stairs. And unfortunately, through the pandemic and thereafter, there's been a shift in how we move. And quite frankly, we're just moving less. Sitting has become the new smoking. Inactivity has become one of the major factors in chronic disease and early death. A study published in the American Journal of Epidemiology noted prolonged sitting, so more than 6 hours a day, was associated with a 19% higher risk of death from all causes, including death due to heart disease, stroke, and cancers. Even for those who exercise a few times per week, this did not protect them from the negative impact daily prolonged sitting had on health outcomes and longevity. Our brain health, our heart health is impacted by how much we move. A research study performed at UCLA also noted for those who are more sedentary may have thinning in brain structures responsible for memory, specifically the medial temporal lobe, and that even high levels of exercise didn't seem to undo the mal-effects prolonged sitting had on the brain. This study also supported the fact that sedentary behavior is a risk factor for Alzheimer's disease, as it's estimated that approximately 13% of Alzheimer's cases may be due to inactivity. There was a more recent study published in the British Journal of Sports Medicine in 2022 that found that for those middle-aged or beyond who are unable to balance on one leg for more than 10 seconds were at an 84% higher risk of dying within the next 10 years. Not a cause and effect relationship, but balance being an indicator of survival. Thus, one could extrapolate that improving balance and proprioception may add years to your life. All of these studies tell us what? We got to get up. We got to move. And especially as we get older and as we get into our 4th decade of life and beyond, it is imperative that we move every day in some capacity. Now, aging often starts at a level that we can't see, the cellular level. Cellular aging or cellular senescence is where the cells in our body start to decline in function. The cells that make up the tissues, that make up the organs, that thus make up the organ systems. When we eventually start to see organ dysfunction and disease, these changes start to occur in most individuals after 40. One of the primary changes that we see is that of mitochondrial decline or dysfunction. So the mitochondria are the organelles, components of our cells that are responsible for producing the energy that the cell needs to function. When this organelle declines, the cells decline in function, and this may show physically as generalized fatigue, weaker muscles, lack of muscle growth, fine lines and wrinkles, all the things we don't like to see as we get older. But there is hope, people, because there are things we can do to slow down the process of aging, slow down the process of cellular aging. And one of those modifying things is movement. Yes, exercise can slow the progression of cellular aging and improve mitochondrial function. Exercise increases mitochondrial production and production of energy, specifically ATP, by the mitochondria of the cell. Exercise improves the cell's cleaning process, allowing for the removal of underperforming and damaged mitochondria from the cell. Exercise decreases inflammation in the body, and thus the production of proteins and molecules that can attack the cell and its mitochondria, which impact the cell's overall function. These changes can occur in many different tissues, including heart, muscle, kidney, liver. Thus, exercise helps to improve the overall function of organs and organ systems that ultimately impact our overall health and longevity. Now, it is important to find a fine balance because too much exercise or overexerting yourself can have the opposite effect. causing mitochondrial decline and speeding up the aging process. So the body sees stress all the same, whether it be strenuous exercise or bad relationship or a stressful job. All these things increase cortisol and other stress hormones that can negatively impact our cells' health and the way we age. So consistency is what is most important, not necessarily intensity. Incorporating relaxational forms of exercise such as yoga, Pilates is helpful. Walking instead of running, doing interval training versus prolonged sustained cardio training may have a better benefit and be more efficient approach. So, my wellness prescription for you today: movement every day. Even 5 to 10 minutes counts and has impact. Incorporate relaxational forms of exercise, yoga, Pilates, or going for a leisurely walk. Incorporate strength training at least 2 to 3 times per week as we lose muscle with each decade of life, particularly after 30, which compounds at a rate of 8% per decade if we're not proactive. Work towards 5,000 to 7,000 steps a day, if you can, or a minimum of 3 hours a week of cardiovascular exercise per American Heart Association recommendations. Now, it is time for our mantra of the day: strength. I am strong. Strong enough to withstand the pain and turn it into resilience. Strong enough to resist all doubt and limited beliefs. Strong enough to ascend beyond obstacles and limited expectation. I am enough. I am more than enough. I am strong. Now you can continue with that breath. Continue with that thought. Or perhaps you've had enough for today. I thank you for listening and joining me on this wellness journey. Namaste.